If I were a betting person right now, I say Trump is going to run again. But I want people to understand that this is a make or break point. Are we going to give in to all of these lies and this disinformation and this organized effort to undermine our rule of law and our institutions, or are we going to stand up to it?
Are we going to stand up to it? Right after Hillary gives that dire warning, there's consequences. Trump maliciously, viciously attacked. And we're going to cover exactly how that happened, what it was about, and what the results of this onslaught may be. But before we get there, I have a few things to ask of you. First, Lisa wanted me to give a shout out to her sponsor, Prepper's Peak. Go to lightbug.com, this amazing product. USB intelligent charging, solar panel run. You see all the features, everything you need to stay connected when you're away from what would be a traditional outlet. Amazing product. And right now, special discount code LISA20, 20% off. That's the Lightbug. This product can be yours. Simply go to lightbug.com. And again, take advantage of LISA20 for that 20% off discount code. Also, a huge favor, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I certainly hope you will. Lisa will put a link above. Just a few seconds will get you there to extend on the information like we're going to today over at restrictedrepublic.com. Very special discount code for you today. Christmas 21 is going to get you 45 days for $1. It's our gift to you to assure you get the news that matters. We're going to extend on this broadcast to what you see on your screen now, the shocking details. We're going to cover all 36 pages of a document that surrounds this entire discussion. So take advantage of, again, Christmas 21. Get 45 days for $1. But now let's continue with this broadcast. So many of you may be wondering what happened. You remember when Mark Meadows said, I'm not going to cooperate with the January 6th committee any further. Well, it appears now there's been a change. A change of course concerning a document sent to Meadows that he's gone ahead and turned over to the January 6th committee, which calls into question for some, is he cooperating or is he not? The same Mark Meadows that is suing Pelosi in bid to block the January 6th committee subpoena entirely. But something's changed. Mark Meadows faces the harm of both being illegally coerced into violating the Constitution, his lawsuit contends. It asks a judge to declare the subpoenas unlawful and unenforceable and claims the inquiries violate his constitutional rights to free speech and privacy. Well, the outcome for Trump at the end of this story is quite different. Mr. Meadows, who has turned over thousands of pages of documents to the committee, informed the panel on Tuesday that he was no longer willing to sit for a deposition that had been scheduled for Wednesday, reversing a deal he had reached with the panel just last week to be interviewed by its investigators. The leaders of the committee immediately threatened to charge Mr. Meadows, a former congressman from North Carolina, with contempt of Congress if he did not appear. This is all how this story is taking shape. Now, would you testify in front of this committee, a committee where Benny Thompson said the following?
If you say you haven't done anything wrong, but on the other hand, you want to assert the Fifth Amendment in terms of self-prosecution, it says that you have something to hide.
That will call anybody's testimony into question, won't it? So let's just recap here. We have a warning from Hillary. We have Mark Meadows originally saying he won't cooperate with the January 6th panel. We have Mark Meadows issuing a suit against Pelosi to block the committee subpoena. And then we have a document turned over to the January 6th committee. And that takes us full circle to what results in a brutal onslaught on Trump. An attack, what would appear to be a coordinated attack. Why, you might ask? The concern that he's going to run again. And things have gone into full tilt to assure he will not. Which leads us to the document. The House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol is scrutinizing a 38-page PowerPoint document filled with extreme plans to overturn the 2020 election. And Mark Meadows, the last chief of staff to President Donald J. Trump, has turned over to the panel 36 pages of context, to be more specific. Now, it's critical that in this New York Times article, we don't forget this statement. Another potential witness, John Eastman, a lawyer who wrote a memo that some in both parties have likened to a blueprint for a coup to keep Mr. Trump in power, has also indicated that he has plans to invoke the Fifth Amendment in response to the committee subpoena. I don't want you to forget the name John Eastman. Many of you familiar with who that is. HuffPost, Mark Meadows hands over PowerPoint plan for Trump to overthrow election. Now here's where it begins. The onslaught, the attack on Trump begins. Just follow mainstream media. We started with HuffPost. Let's go to Rolling Stone. Trump's White House emailed about a PowerPoint on how to end American democracy. Let's go to Independent. Explosive PowerPoint presentation detailing plan to overturn election for Trump discovered by January 6th committee. It was turned over to the January 6th committee. But you see how they're twisting words now. They're twisting the narrative. They're making it an attack narrative. A PowerPoint presentation, this on Business Insider, circulating online, outlining a plan to overturn the 2020 election is similar to the one Mark Meadows gave to the January 6th panel. Wait now, has there already been something circulating? There actually has. Not this document. This is the one they're talking about now, the 38 pages, 36 pages of context that we're going to review at Restricted Republic immediately after his broadcast, page by page. And trust me, the information contained within, we very much value your opinion on, to get the full visibility to this story. Shocking, astounding, dumbfounding, just three words that still don't capture the impact of what this says. But we'll move on in our presentation. The document recommended that Mr. Trump declare a national emergency to delay the certification of the election results and included a claim that China and Venezuela had obtained control of the voting infrastructure. This is within that document. This is what the January 6th committee panel now has presented to them by Mark Meadows, as if they didn't have it prior, because my determination is they did. Well, the onslaught on Trump continued further. Now we get to the talking heads of mainstream media and those within Congress. Latest, Trump White House chief Mark Meadows turned over to January 6th committee an email that referenced to a PowerPoint calling for Trump to declare a national security emergency and have VP Pence delay Biden certification. We'll get to staff writer for The New Yorker and CNN Global Affairs analyst Susan Glasser declared national security emergency. Chilling, absolutely chilling to see this in writing. Now we're going to take a brief pause. You see how they're crafting the story, making it appear to the general public as this is something that came directly from Trump. It's the key to the entire story. It's how they twist narratives, but it's very critical to understand the origin point, or else some of these headlines don't make sense anymore. We'll move forward. New York Times bestselling author. If you ever wonder just how fake right-wing outrage is, consider that Republicans wanted to lock Hillary Clinton in jail for life because of scant evidence. She stored emails incorrectly, but are perfectly fine with Trump planning to overthrow democracy on a blanking PowerPoint. Go to Hawaii now, and you can see there the U.S. Senator from Hawaii. Can someone explain to me why this isn't the only thing in the news? I deeply respect the Fourth Estate, but holy blank, they had a plan to just end democracy. And is the press going to be just like, are Democrats using the wrong words again? Told you, Congress too, moving all the way forward to Eric Swalwell. How boldly are Republicans trying to overthrow the Biden government? They had a PowerPoint plan. Why were they so bold? Because they think you and the Department of Justice don't care, and thus they can't be stopped. We are in a battle for democracy. It's on life support. Now you feel the impact of what happened, the vicious assault, the attack on Trump. All about this PowerPoint presented to the January 6th committee. But it goes further. They don't stop. Here comes everyone's favorite, Adam Schiff, to give his thoughts on the process.
Some are saying in public or posting online about a so-called Trump plan. Wouldn't it be better to give some factual context here about this? Is this something that originated in the Trump White House or from somewhere else?
Well, Ari, some of those questions we're still trying to determine.
That's all I could take of Adam Schiff. Some of those questions we're still trying to determine. Ari coming out and asking a direct question. Shouldn't we go to the facts? Very specific question. Of course, immediately diverted by Adam Schiff, who wants to pull as much drama out of this document as he can. He's shown to do that over and over again. But let's get to the facts. Even within the New York Times article itself, they spell out the facts, but nobody will report on it. Phil Waldron, a retired Army colonel, I'll show you a picture of him. You remember much of his testimony. An influential voice in a movement to challenge, said on Friday from a bar he owns outside Austin, Texas, that he had circulated the document. Wait now. Phil had circulated the document. How does that relate to Trump, you might ask? Among Mr. Trump's allies and on Capitol Hill before the attack, Mr. Waldron said that he did not personally send the document to Mr. Meadows, but that it was possible someone on his team had passed it along to the former chief of staff. Now, is that the impression you got from everything I read you so far? Of course it wasn't. That wasn't the impression they wanted to give you. They want to fire up America against Trump. A brutal, vicious onslaught attack. They found the kindling, they're lighting the fire now. It is unclear who prepared the PowerPoint, but it is similar to a 36-page document available online, and it appears to be based on the theories of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer, a Texas entrepreneur and a self-described inventor who appeared with Mr. Waldron on podcasts discussing the entire matter. It started, actually, in multiple forms. There was a 2-page memo. Here, memo shows Trump lawyers' 6-step plan for Pence to overturn the results. Bringing us back to John Eastman, a lawyer who wrote a memo that some in both parties have likened to a blueprint for a coup to keep Mr. Trump in power. He has also indicated he plans to invoke the Fifth Amendment in response to the committee's subpoena. Here's the first document, 2 pages, by the way. Second document, 6 pages. Moving on, privileged and confidential. And then the document that was public record. Meadows had no problem turning it over because it wasn't confidential, privileged information, because it did not come from Trump. But the media wants you to believe something entirely different. This on the Washington Post. That of January 6th, Willard Hotel in downtown D.C. was a Trump team command center for efforts to deny Biden the presidency. They were led by Trump's personal attorney, a lawyer, Rudolph Giuliani. Former chief White House strategist Steve Bannon was an occasional presence as the effort's senior political advisor. Former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik was there as an investigator, and also present was John Eastman, the scholar who outlined scenarios for denying Biden the presidency in an Oval Office meeting. See, again, John Eastman comes up as a man documenting some of these plans, handing them across, and eventually now making it to the January 6th panel. But why is this being directed directly at Donald J. Trump? Because it serves the mainstream media agenda to assure that he can never run again. While the lawyers and Willard were focused on promoting the legal strategy Eastman outlined, they'd helped in his efforts to sift through allegations that can't be mentioned here. That's why we have to do the full document over at Restricted Republic. Phil Waldron, a retired Army colonel who specialized in psychological operations, led a team of people who provided, because I know we're going to go back to this article real quick, because when you read it again, we produced the document because it wasn't privileged. That is Mr. Meadows' attorney. Phil Waldron, a retired Army colonel, an influential voice, told everyone outside his bar that he had circulated the document. But that doesn't matter. You see, truth doesn't matter. Huge headlines, misdirecting headlines, deceit matters. And so now we're going to take a pause. And I'm going to go into the full 38 pages for you. And I'm going to read it count by count to assure you understand what's contained within, and I want your impression. To take advantage of it, we're going to give you 45 days for $1. Just go to Restricted Republic, Christmas 21, enter it at monthly checkout. That way you could check out this document, you can give us your comments, and see what all this is actually all about. And it's much different than the mainstream narrative is telling you. Of course it is. to push blame directly on Donald J. Trump for something that he obviously, in our opinion, did not create, but the mainstream media wants you to believe otherwise. And this is the mess we have. We love you all. Can't thank you enough for being here. Thank you for letting me fill in for Lisa. Make sure you subscribe to her channel. Godspeed and God bless. Until next time, Justice Knight, signing out.